That's amazing. So we met. I don't think we've ever met face to face, but we definitely met through social media, and it is through that passion of multisports. We are live, up and running. I think we had a bit of a glitch there, but we are now on. So we're going to chat about multisports. So can you share some of your multisports experiences? Yeah, it is nice having that mix of disciplines, isn't it? It's something I know that we really, really enjoy. So, what was your inspiration really behind getting into the multisports events? Mm.
Them on, and I got inspired, and I was watching a triathlon, and I was just fascinated with the three disciplines. Like, they were just three sports in one, and I was like, wow, I need to do something. I need to stop being lazy, and got to do something. So at the time, my friend, my best friend, had just recently won a 10k in 55 minutes at the time, and he said to me, I always remember what he said to me. He said, "Oh, I loved it." He said, "I sprinted it, I loved it," and he said, "I want to. We should join a running club," because he said, "I know you like to run at football, but you've never done any more about it." And I did the odd charity run, so I said, "Yeah, okay." And he went on to run London in 2 hours 30 and finished 95th.
Oh wow!
So it shows you the progress in just a few years later, just joining a club. So I joined the club, and on the basis, joined a running club, which now I'm the head coach of, Canterbury Harriers. And I couldn't swim, so I started to learn to swim, and I did my first triathlon in 2013, and that was my only triathlon because I kept getting injured until I went back in 2018 to do my next triathlon. So that's how I really got into it. I was inspired by the Brownie brothers crossing the line in first and third, and that was really the start for me.
That's amazing. The Olympics has, I think, been a really big inspiration for a lot of people, and it's really nice to see them have things like multi-sport events in there, because they seem to offer more than just one set discipline. So they give you a lot of kind of skills you can learn, which is really, really nice. So you've done quite a few races. Have you got a race that is a favourite race? And if so, can you tell us a little bit about it?
So I've got quite a few favourite races, but my favourite race has got to be the 2017 World Aquathlon Championships, and the reason that was there's quite a few, several reasons why. One, I was the team captain for the age group team, and I was really proud of that. And I sorted out activities and stuff, and what I did like was that I managed to get pretty much the whole entire team and their family. So there's about 68 athletes and their family into one restaurant the night before the race, and I had proper food meal prepped for us and stuff, and that was really good. That was something I really liked. But the other thing I liked about it was I went to Canada, and I've always wanted to go to Canada. I went to a place called Penticton, and I never expected how wonderful and beautiful it was. It was in a beautiful lake. the town was just lovely, and the whole experience was really good. And just the race was well, it was actually my best placing at the World Championship. Probably not my best race that I've raced in, as in like how well I think I've done, but my best placing. But I just the whole entire time I was there, I just really enjoyed it.
That's amazing. And do you know what? I tend to find that the scenery can really make or break a race, especially kind of, having something to look at as you go round.
Well, just seeing the lake and the mountains and stuff was just breathtaking. And like there's some photos of me coming out into transition, and you can see all the mountains in the background, and it's just yeah, it was just an amazing place, and I would like to go back there again.
That sounds like a really good place to be. Okay, so you've tried a few different types of multi-sports events. So you've done aquathlon, triathlons and duathlons. Have you got a favourite of those three, and if so, why?
So, well, aquathlon's always going to be my favourite because that's the background I came. I started in 2015 with aquathlons, and I mean, purely because I wasn't a good swimmer, I wasn't able to swim, and to just go and to do two disciplines and be quite successful in there, which I never even thought would ever happen. So it was always going to be my favourite, but with like triathlon stuff, I like more of a challenge, and I like because I work for the NHS as an analyst, and the thing is, I like data, and you have to like predict strategies and stuff. And I like triathlon because it's more of a strategy, and I know that I'm not a very strong cyclist, and I'm working on to try and be a better cyclist because it's my weakest area. But they all have their own little things. So triathlon, for me, it's nice, it's strategy wise, but I actually like the feeling of when you come off the bike and go onto the run and you finish. And duathlon, I find that I wouldn't take up full time, but I like it as training, and I find it the hardest out of the three sports. But I definitely think it's very beneficial for anyone's training for triathlon. So I'd say deep down, aquathlon is still, although I'm trying to move on from it, it will have a special place in my heart.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I am duathlon through and through. I'm a very poor swimmer. But yeah, I do think duathlon has its own challenges. So my next question is all about kind of the events. Have you got any stories of events that didn't go to plan for one reason or another that you might be happy to share with us and tell us about?
I've got loads of stories. So I'll go back so I'll go back 2016, the World Aquathlon Championships in Cozumel, and that was a few days before the Brownies pushed Alistair pushed his brother across pushed Johnny across the line. So we were sure. So I was staying at the Playa de Carmen, and we were sure that we could get a ferry across in the morning for about 6 o'clock to get to transition, because we had to be out of transition 7 or half 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't the case. So 2 days before the race, I panicked and really had panicked about it, and was really nervous and stuff. And I'll tell you a bit more about it after, how I learned from this. But so I panicked a lot, stressed myself about it, and then the following morning we went down to down to see about the boats. This is the day before the race. Went to the ferries, had a look, and they said, nope, there's nothing. I phoned the team manager, panicking down the phone. He said, well, you're going to have to get a place in the island. And you're talking about, now this was part of the World Triathlon Series, World Championship finals. So they had all the races going ahead. And not only did you have the elites, but it was something like 5,000 athletes in this tiny island. So me trying to find somewhere to stay was going to be very hard. So me and my wife, we went from a lovely 5-star hotel, all inclusive, and then the morning we left and we started looking for a place to go over there, because we couldn't do anything more. And obviously I was so stressed, really panicky, and then basically we were walking looking for places, and I'm on my feet all day. I'm asking athletes if they've got somewhere where I can sleep, if they got not ideal, but anyway, I found somewhere to stay, and it wasn't a fantastic place. It was a typical, I'd say, a Mexican place that you would not believe. So in the wall, it had a big hole in the side of the wall outside, which had the aircon just put straight in.
Right.
And you can hear all the bars and all the noise outside. And then it also had frost glass. So there was two beds, which were really weird. And then in the middle, it had like a wall between the two beds. So me and my wife were like, "What's this for?" So that was really weird. And then on the outside, you had frosty glass, so people can't see inside, but you could hear people walking up and down and seeing them walking up and down. So that wasn't the best of rooms. So basically, I was on my feet all day. So meal plans went out of the plan. Hydration, I didn't hydrate because I was roaring too much. So basically, I turned up to the race the following day in the morning, absolutely exhausted, did not perform. I mean, I finished 28th, and that is really impressive for my first World Championships, and I am happy about it. But I know I could have been a lot better. I was running my runs. I was running a minute and a half slower towards the end of the run, and I was just exhausted, and I was just dehydrated. So what I learned from that was, in other races, is that control what you can control, and anything else out, like COVID at the moment, like I can control and try and stop myself getting COVID by washing my hands and doing everything what government say, but everything else outside my control, I can't control it. So I was like, well, why should I so that's how I learned. So why should I worry about things that are out of my control? So that was that, and then we go into 2017, the World Championships. So this is the following year, and the night before, the 2 nights before the race, I couldn't sleep. I think it was due to jet lag or something. I just didn't really sleep. I didn't sleep at all. And what I learned was to relax. So my friends and my wife went out and did stuff for the day, and I stayed in the hotel room. I know it's a bit boring, but watched motivational speeches, videos, and just relaxed and just controlled what I can control. And I finished 6th in that race and had a really good race. So that's 2 examples, and I can show you another example as well of the 2019 National Aquathlon Championships. So peak shape, best shape. I was convinced I was going to win. I was looking forward to it, and turned up. Went to sleep 10 o'clock in the hotel at night, and then at 12 o'clock the fire alarm goes off, and I'm a light sleeper. So anyway, we all had to get up and get out the building. So that was that, and then basically I was still walking around, and I could not sleep. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I got up with my wife, got to sleep, because once I'm out of that zone, I can't sleep, and I was really struggling. Try not to panic, knowing that I had a race to be at 7 in the morning, and I walked around the hotel grounds at 4 o'clock in the morning to try and get some fresh air, and I got about an hour and a half sleep. I woke up absolutely shattered, turned up to the race, and 2 friends of ours came up to me and said, "Oh, you don't look good." I said, "Yeah, that alarm woke me up last night. I couldn't get back to sleep." He said, "Oh, it was our room." He said the condensation got into the room and let us people come. They slept through it, and then they slept through it again. So anyway, it's not their fault. And I turned up to the race, and basically your mindset's different, and you just got to think, well, I'm just going to control what I can control. Forget what my target is. I'm just going to give it my best and see what happens. And I came out to swim, and I knew in the swimming I'd been really strong at this point, and normally come out quite higher than normal. And I didn't. I came out a bit further back than I thought I would do. So I just got onto the run, and then I just started overtaking people, and then about 800 meters from the finish, I was behind the guy that was leading it, overtook him, and I started pulling away. At that point, I thought, I haven't got anything more to give him. I'll stay behind him. I don't think I'll get past him. And then we got onto the bit where it was quite a long flat, and I just thought, I'm going to just push a little bit and see. So I pushed a little bit, and I just happened to pull away, and then there's a picture of me doing that, and I was really happy. So it's things that if I had known when I went back in 2016, to know not to panic, then it'd be a lot better. Of course, things are always going to go wrong, so it's how you deal with them. And if I had panicked and really stressed out that day, I guarantee that I'd have probably not even turned up to that race, or I'd have been really struggling. So there's things like that. It's the mind. You've got to keep your mind positive at all times.
Yeah, it's like you say. There's bound to be points where something's going to go wrong and it's not going to work, and it's like you say, just having that, controlling what you can control and letting go of everything else that you can't, and doing the best you can.
Yeah.
So you're an age group champion in quite a few aquathlons. What is it that kind of really enables you to win, to get as far as you do? Is it your training? Is it your preparation? Is it practicing the one discipline? What is it that really kind of enables you to win and be as strong as you are?
Well, first you have to have consistent training and be committed. And I'm fortunate enough to have a job where I can train around my job. So I work 8 till 4. So now with COVID, when I'm working from home, I can train. I get up ridiculous, just super early these days. So I get up and train in the morning, and I train straight after work in the afternoon. So consistent training, but being smarter. So what I've learned, you've got to be smarter who train. So for me, most of my training, I'd probably say 80% or even higher, is easy training, all base mileage. No training is a waste. And then, so for example, this week I'll do one speed session on the bike, one speed session on the run, and that'll be my real hard day, and then everything else will be easy. So I train 6 days a week. I have a rest day, and leading up to races, I have 2 rest days, and I taper. So that's how a background of how I train, and then I work towards my goals. So I always work on my weaknesses. So at the moment, I'm working on biking. I've worked more on my cycling bit last year as well. I know that's where I can make the most gains. So that's the problem a lot of people do, is they work on their strengths, and realistically, if you're going to work on your strengths, say I work on my running, I'm going to gain about 5-10 seconds. So why not just maintain that and keep your fitness at that peak level? Whereas if I on the bike, for example, my weakest, and I'm getting 5 minutes, say, because I know I'm very weak in it, and I gain 5 minutes. That 10 seconds doesn't sound that great, does it?
No, not really.
So it's the same as swimming as well. When I swam, I used to work on weaknesses. So I work on my weaknesses. With the age group stuff, I probably was spoiled, because I turned up to 2016 European Championships. I turned up to the National Championships, my first ever big race, and I started on the race. My goggles got knocked off. Always managed to grab them, and I thought they were going to fall into the sea. And again, that's the mindset. What do? That you can control what you can control. So I didn't panic. Obviously, alarm bells rang, but I managed to grab them. I came third in my age group, and I was really surprised and shocked. And then I went to the European Championships. I came last out into transition, and in the back of my mind, I've got to do something, and I don't want to make up numbers. There's nothing wrong with making up numbers, but I thought in the back of my head, I just didn't want to come last. I thought I want to give it my all. It might be a once in a lifetime opportunity if these things don't come around often. And I came third. So I think getting them 2 bronze medals in 2016, and coming from a background of nothing and nowhere, I think supported me and made me want to more, for being hungry for more and being motivated. So I have to have something to motivate me. So I always give 100% to anything. So I'm training for European Championships at the moment, Sprint Triathlon Championships. I'm going to give that 100%, and I'll do anything to get to try and achieve my goals. And just by working smarter. And there's been races, like I said, about when I came 28th at the World Championships, and then I came 6th the following year in the World Championships. I learned a lot, and I learn from every race and every race that I do and every discipline I do in it. I learn from it, and I take something out of it all the time to try and make myself better. So now I'm more experienced, and when I do race, I know more of the situations around me and what to do, and that's really much my mindset. My mindset is I'm going to try and be the best I can be. But in regards to racing people, I personally don't care who's racing on that field. In the early days, I used to look on the start lists and see who's on there and try and plan who I could beat and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm just there. I enjoy it, and I'm racing myself, and I just want to be the best I can be on the day.
Yeah, that's a really nice way to look at it. Yeah, it's taking control of what you can control of, and I remember the days when we used to look at the start lists and kind of peg people and things like that, and I think it is all just about going out there and giving it everything you've got and really kind of putting a lot of focus and attention into it, which is really nice.
So if you start looking, oh sorry,
no, that's right.
If you start looking at people and like what other people are doing, and if they're faster than you, just play in the back of your mind and stuff like that. So I just think it's best not to, and just turn up to the start line. Whoever's there is there, and just be the best you can be.
Yeah, it's a really, really good way to look at it. So you chatted a little bit about COVID, and because obviously you're working from home, you can adjust your training. With you obviously doing aquathlons, which does involve swimming, have you found that the COVID lockdown and access to things like swimming pools and public pools being closed, has that had an impact on your training? Have you had to adjust in that sense for your swim training? And if so, kind of how have you managed to cope during the lockdown?
Well, it's been a very big impact, definitely. So last year, so go back to last year when we first went. I didn't train from March till May until we were allowed out, and I started sea swimming. So that wasn't too bad. But then you can't work on drills and stuff. I actually found that when I actually got, I was doing a lot of strength-specific swim work, and like the swimmers, they call it land-based training. So they do a lot of land-based training. So I was swimming. I built it up, and I was swimming 3 times a week that I'd normally swim in the pool, but I was swimming outdoors more. And when I actually came to do a triathlon, I actually found that I actually swam a PB from it, and that was off the back of no drills and stuff like that. But because probably because I swam with a lady that I used to swim in the masters class, which no longer goes now because of COVID. And she was a GB standard, and I could never catch her in the pool because she tumble turns, and I can't tumble turn.
Right.
So, and I don't need to tumble turn because of in open water you don't need it. So, but I was swimming with her and Carver, and she's a fantastic swimmer, and we were swimming up and down and doing speed sessions and stuff together, and it was just good to be next to her and having someone there to push. So that was one aspect of it. So last year wasn't affected too much. But then, of course, and then we went into lockdown again in November. Yeah. But that was my off season, so I was like, "Oh, that's all right. It doesn't affect me because I was having 2 weeks off." So I was like, "Oh, okay." Then we came back. I started training back in the pool, and then Kent. I live in Kent, so that went into a lockdown before everyone else.
Yeah.
So that was that. So what I did last year, I brought some weights and stuff, and my strength coach Craig Coggle, he told me to he gave me swim specific exercises, so which I now do all my gym work at home, and so at the moment I haven't been swimming since December, which is a longer period than last time.
Right.
But I've got a Zen 8 swim trainer now, and it's got like a blow up bench, which is quite hard for a core because you have to try and balance on it. And then and then you've got the levers, the bands, and so I've been doing that every day for 10 minutes, but I've only been doing technique work, so I've been working on like high elbow. So and then my training basically, so I normally do three swim when I was training for aquathlon. So I was doing 4 swim sessions, 4 run sessions, and then 2 strength sessions. When I moved to triathlon, started moving to triathlon to qualify for GB, I cut the swim down because I thought, well, I need to get biking, and I now do 4 bike sessions, 4 runs and obviously the 2 free swims, sorry, but that's obviously not existent at the moment. So I'm doing 5 bike sessions now and still 4 runs, but and my 2 strength sessions that I do, I'm doing 3 strength sessions,
Right.
and all the strength sessions have swim specific exercise in them, but the 3rd strength session of the week is just purely for swim muscles. So I'm hoping, I mean, they said the pool's going to open in April, but I'm hoping I can get into the sea the end of March. It's too cold for me to go now. By the time you acclimatise and take a 5 minutes, by the time you put a wetsuit on and stuff, 5 minutes worth of swimming in the sea, it's not worth it. Even my swimming coach, John Wood, he says it's not worth it at all. So I might as well just carry on doing what I'm doing, and then as soon as restrictions are lifted in April, then I can hopefully start swimming and upping it and building up slowly. And the European Championships meant to be after the Olympics, so it's going to be in probably late September time. So I've got plenty of time swimming wise. So I'm quite happy in that way. So that's how I'm managing it at the moment.
Well, that's really good. I've seen plenty of people who've kind of made their own like modified swimming machines with resistance bands and bits and things like that at home. And I think that has probably been the one sport that's been impacted the most, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful with it because, like, it's not actually, you're still not swimming, but people, you've got to make sure your technique is right, if you know what I mean. You don't want to just go to the trainer and start doing up and down because that's not your technique of swimming. So you have to be careful with what you're doing.
Definitely. Okay, so as well as training for your own events, you are also a running coach. So has your kind of background in multisports had any influence or impact on how you coach runners? Has it helped it, supported it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely helped it. I mean, so I come from a running background, so I started running and then swimming, and I purely did the swimming to try and improve the running. I learned a lot when I first started running about injuries and stuff, and I've been in a lot of studies and lab tests, and I've been part of a lot of studies, and I've been lucky enough to have some great coaches like Mark Shepherd, who does my cycling and running coaching at the moment. So I actually although I know the running stuff, I leave it to him because he's the main man. He does all my whole plan. So it has impacted me in a way that I've learned more. I've learned that obviously smarter training, you don't need to run fast to get fast. Easy running, slow run, run slow to run fast is the way to go. But I've learned a lot, like pacing, you don't need to follow pacing because if your body doesn't feel great, why would you go by pacing? So my coaching is very much about heart rate training and about working on the low zones to make you faster and improve. And that's basically from triathlon as well, because you can't do all these free multi-sports and go hard every day. And the problem is a lot of people go into the moderate zone. They either do too hard or they go moderate, and they don't do too easy. They think it's a waste of time, and that's why they end up unfortunately getting injured or burning out. So it's had an impact, and it's actually like shown me triathlon is an endurance sport, and if you can run fast at the end of a cycling, then again that's impacted the way that I train, because you know that easy training is working. So yeah, it's had a really impact, and everyone that I coach, they'll tell you that I get them doing easy training, and I'm forever telling them you're running too fast. I told you to keep onto that zone, that heart rate zone. Why are you running that pace? So yeah, it's had an impact of my coaching, and to be honest, I actually fell into as a running coach. The chairman at the running club asked me if I wanted to become a coach, and I said, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it and give something back to the club. So I wanted to give something back, and now I'm the head coach. So I went on another course, but I'm thinking of doing triathlon courses now, because that is where I'm more moving towards, and I think I can learn a lot more from those.
That's amazing. So yes, we've had a really nice chat, and I'm coming on to my last question. And my last one is, have you got any tips that you could give people who want to go from that single discipline and start and move into the world of multi-sports events?
Yes, there's loads of tips. Firstly, enjoy it. No one's going to judge you. Take your own time, and put in what you put in is what you get out. So you work hard at something, anything in life, you'll be rewarded, and you never know your journey. Swimming is very, very, very hard. I couldn't swim, so and I even still remember to the day when I went the following year in 2013 after I started. I went into a triathlon class, and I went into the pool, and I was swimming, and she said to me, "Why have you got goggles on?" And I was doing that with my head. She said, "Why have you got goggles? You're not putting your face in the water." So you need to learn the technique, and it takes time, and it takes years, and you're not going to be a good swimmer overnight. And I still don't class myself. I'm always playing catch up with the swimmers. So with any multi-sport, always work on your weakest. So if you're really good, so you go into a triathlon, for example, you're really good at running, then work on that swimming. Work on that swimming. Keep working on it. That's my advice. If you're new to any sport, go easy, build up slowly. The engine inside you takes a long time, even years, to build up. And firstly, you don't want to get injured, because it's not fun being injured. Secondly, you want to build it up slowly, and you want to learn as well. Like, the best thing to do is learn from your mistakes, but learn that slow running is fine. For example, the sub 2 hour marathon runner runs 9:30-minute miles on his easy runs. So if he's running 9:30 easy miles and he's running 4-minute miles in his marathon, then there's an example. So build up slowly, run slowly, and I personally say that make sure that 80% of your training, whatever you do, is easy training. So on your hard days, hard. And then on the easy days, easy, and enjoy it. And most importantly, make sure you get the rest. Rest is another element in your training and should not be underestimated, because rest is key. And a minimum of 1 rest day, I would recommend to anyone, and it gives you not only does it stop the injuries, it helps your body recover and rebuild, and of course you get faster and stronger from it. So they're sort of my tips. And then in regards to multi-sport, I'd say use something like, if you want to do triathlon, I personally would use a aquathlon as a stepping stone, because it's the cheapest. You just need running kit. You don't necessarily need a wetsuit, depending on what you're doing. So you don't have to spend too much on that, and then build it up into to a triathlon, and then move into a duathlon, for example, or triathlon. The bike, because the bikes are expensive, and a cheap bike to start off with, and that'll do you for a bit, and then obviously you've got to buy the helmets and stuff, and the races cost. So again, work on your weakest areas. So that's advice that I would say when you're starting off. Don't let anyone say you can't, because I was told I couldn't. I was told I wasn't going to be a good swimmer. I was told when I was injured, when I went through loads of injuries in the 2013s, I nearly quit the whole sport because it was making me feel really bad. I actually quit cycling as a result, because I wasn't a good cyclist at the time anyway, but I was convinced it was causing my injuries, and I only, as I said before, I only got back onto triathlons in 2018, so it shows you how much it played in the back of my mind. So with it, just don't say people you can't. I was told by a physio at the time that when I kept getting injured, that I'm not cut out for it, and I'm like 29 years old. I haven't done any sports. I've never been injured in my life, and you're telling me that I'm a broken man. So I had to find another physio, and I've never looked back. So always believe that you can do it, and set realistic, set small goals and daily goals, and or weekly goals, and then have a big target at the end. Now, I now have I call them unrealistic targets, because I find that if you have unrealistic targets, you'll push as hard as you can in training and work as hard as you can to try and get to them. I hope that makes sort of sense.
That does kind of make sense to me. That's a very similar mindset to how I've got for goals. So yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So my goal last year for the Sprint Triathlon Championship that didn't go ahead was to try and finish in the top 10 in my debut. My goal now is to try and get on the podium, and I'm going to try everything to get onto the podium on my debut, and that's what motivates me more. So you need some motivation, but small goals help towards it, and just take small steps at a time. And the other thing is just enjoy the process, enjoy it. Don't if you don't feel like training, don't train.
Yeah.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. No one's going to judge you. I do go by a 10-minute rule though, is that if I'm not wake up, I don't feel like it. I would say to myself, right, I'm going to go outside, train for 10 minutes minimum. If I don't like it, I'll turn back round after 5 minutes. Well, whatever you're doing. I'll turn back round and I'll go home and then I'll just rest up and I'll just forget about it and then train tomorrow. Now, when that does happen, I go out and they're the best days I have training, because I find that I end up staying out a lot longer, and I end up doing my session and really enjoying it. So they're my tips. I know it's quite a lot of tips, but
that's brilliant. It's nice to kind of have that, and I can share it with all the viewers. That 10-minute rule is a really good one. It's something I use. If I can get out for 10 minutes, and I normally find by the time I've got out for that long, I keep going. There have been a few days that you just think, no, it's not doing it, and I'll turn back round. But
it's not a waste either. Like just going out 10 minutes, and you think I come back is not a waste. I mean, I mentioned earlier about swimming in the sea for 5 minutes, but I mean, by the time that's different, because by the time you get there and stuff like that. But actually, when you're leaving your home, the first step is getting out the door, and I think the 10-minute rule is really important rule.
It is. It definitely is. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your week to come and have a chat, and it's been wonderful speaking to you. If you do want to go and find out more about Yiannis, you can go and check him out on his YouTube channel. You also have a blog, and I believe you are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter?
I'm not on Facebook.
Not
I'm
Facebook.
on Instagram and Twitter, yeah.
So just Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, all the links for where you can find Yiannis will be on the description of this video. And do go and subscribe to Yiannis's YouTube channel. It's been wonderful chatting to you, and would really appreciate a like and subscribe for Bikes and Races as well. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day, and hopefully we'll catch up and chat again, or maybe even one day have a race together.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and yeah, hopefully we'll catch up at a race soon.
Perfect. Right, well, I'm going to let you get to your busy day. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good day.